Hello and welcome to TV9 Digital. I'm Abhijit Singh Bhamra. A brilliant brace from Harmanpreet Singh and then excellent saves from the goalkeeper Priyas Rijesh ensured that India opens its account against New Zealand with a 3-2 win in the men's hockey. To discuss the game, I have with me very special guests. First up, I have Mr. Romeo James with me, a known face, and also he also came to our studios before as well, a member of the 1984 Los Angeles men's hockey team. And I also have Mr. Sandeep Misra, the sports editor for TV9 Digital, a man who has covered multiple Olympics, and hockey is something which is close to his heart. Welcome, gentlemen. Sandeep, I'll come to you first. Your initial reaction on the victory?
I think it's more of a relief. I think Romeo would agree to that. Yeah, I mean, a lot of people would say that, okay, the fourth quarter was jittery, the fourth quarter, the team was in a panic. I look at it slightly different. Team 2-3 down, New Zealand. Any team from that stage onwards or at that point onwards would always want to come back. So they would always attack. I think the best thing was that we kind of stood up. There were very clear-cut chances for New Zealand too. This could have easily been a 3-3 also, looking at the offensive work of the New Zealanders. Yeah. But I think coming off a first game, when you play an Olympics, the pressure is very high. Everybody wants to get out of that first game with 3 points and a victory. I think in that way, I think first equation of this complex thing called the Olympics has been solved, and we can now go further.
Romeo, a win, nonetheless, 3 points in the bank. How do you sum up India's efforts on the field against the Kiwis?
See, any tournament to start off with a win, it's New Zealand being a good side, it's a credit to us that we won against them, and the way we defended our penalty corners, that was a good side.
We'll divide the games into two halves. First, we'll talk about the positives. So what are the positives out of this game for the Indian side?
I think if you just take the fourth quarter for later, I think if you look at quarter first, second and third, what really stood out for me was that the errors were less. Okay, when New Zealand scored, you kind of had that feeling of, they've again scored against us and India 0-1 down. But the best thing was that they were cool, they were composed, they understood what was required. I'll just go back 6, 7, 8 years, the team would probably have been in a panic. We've kind of conceded. Not this team. They opened up. If you really look at that match, they opened up, they started passing to corners, and they got the New Zealanders into a huddle into the middle so that the flanks didn't move. That's how the team moved up. So the cool and being composed about, even though you were 0-1 down, I think that was the best part. Yeah, you can look at it from a midfield point of view, a defensive point of view, forward line point of view, and you can easily give points there. For me today, in terms of defense, I think you need to give these guys 8 out of 10 and a couple of players who were outstanding. Yeah, the rest, I think as the tournament goes on, we can have a checklist on that as to how each player is doing.
Also, we have to talk about Harmanpreet, scores twice and clearly the man of the moment.
Yeah, especially the second one, that was a beauty, with which Rupinder Pal gave a dummy and gave it to Harmanpreet. That was a beauty. And the third one, which he scored on the left side, that was a beauty too. So Harman is a weapon for us. And see, we have 2 castles most of the time. So one was Rupinder will stand, another Harman, or Amit Rohidas will be there. So that's an advantage to us. So we got 3 at any point of time in the game, having 2 penalty drag flickers on the ground. It's
advantage India.
It's a positive.
Right. And Sandeep, you were mentioning about the checklists. Can you elaborate more on that?
Yeah, if you just ask me, Harmanpreet gets 2 goals. He gets into the media, he gets into the newspapers. He's on television. You take pictures of him. If he would have got 1 more, it would have been a hat trick. Hat trick in the first match. For me, the impact player was Amit Rohidas. Very, very clearly. Look, you are in a position where the match is 2-1 to India. At that time, you get penalty corners against you. Even when the match was 3-1 for India, and this guy goes out, he's rushing out, and he's using superb amount of pace with an outstretched stick. It's not easy. It looks easy,
Yeah.
but when that other guy is flicking at such power, for him to go out there and stop those flicks, I think those 2-3 flicks that he stopped, I think the progress of the game for New Zealand was probably altered there. If that goal would have come in the second quarter or the third quarter, of course we would have been under pressure. We would have also expected us to score again.
Yeah.
But for me, Rohidas was clearly an impact player.
The standout performer.
And the other guy was Surinder.
Okay.
For me, the guy who's always invisible, the monk in the team, and a guy, I mean, we were just discussing this. In the end, in the last minute with seconds to go, he was the guy who got the ball on the goal line.
Yes.
It wasn't Srijesh on the left. The pad was outstretched. But it was this guy, Surinder, who got the ball and he made a goal line save. Otherwise, you would have been looking at it and we would have been talking about 3-3 line.
Same old story.
Yeah,
Same
we would
old
have been
story.
saying the same old story.
There's a lot of talk about the defense going into the competition. What about the midfield and also the attack? Did they carry out their job to as per your expectations?
Forward line, to my this thing,
Yeah.
except for Mandeep and Lalit for some little time. Rest Dilpreet and Gurjant and other guys have to improve.
Mm-hmm.
Because when Mandeep gets going through, or when the midfield goes through, especially once or twice Virender Lagra went, and he doesn't have anyone to pass on to.
Yeah.
So that needs to be looked into the forward line, and midfield has to come more into the game to switch over the game from one flank to another, so that we keep the position proper. And when we keep the position proper with us, other team will be panicky because we are good at counter attacks.
What do we take from this game into the next one against Australia?
I think a huge amount of confidence.
Okay.
I think when they walk back to the village today, they are not going back with a draw or a loss. That's huge, in terms of psychology, in terms of a player's mental being also, because he's come to the Olympics. I mean, each one of us is, or all the people who probably are following the sport, for them it's very easy to say, you should win, you should go get gold, you should go silver, There are other teams out there wanting the same.
Correct.
So for them to walk off with 3 points, I think that is probably, I wouldn't even say relief, but that is something that will give them immense confidence, as well as to Graham Reid, that he's taken the first hurdle, is out. New Zealand is on the side. Now let's look forward to the other games.
It can also lead to momentum.
I just want to say that
Yeah.
New Zealand and Australia played that FIH league.
Right.
So they had good practice matches too. So with this win, I think when he beating New Zealand, it's a relief and it's a great sign. So we, like Sandeep said, we got to take it positive and go to Australia to meet them properly.
Thanks a lot, gentlemen, for your thoughts on the game. Win is like half the job done, and India will be hoping to not just take 3 points from here on, but also just get that momentum going into it. Like Sandeep said, a win at the end of the day will give you that kind of confidence moving into the next matches. And remember, India plays Australia next on Sunday. That's all what we have for you in this special edition of Target Tokyo. For all the news and updates from India and around the world, keep watching TV9 Digital. Thanks a lot for watching.